evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Angry Cast and Fallout Shelter 2023. We are going through and doing the Party at the End of the World quest, as you can see, and we're going to be talking about, a couple of things here. So let's get to it, shall we? Here it is. We're still playing Fallout Shelter in 2023. I cannot believe it. Just that I'm still playing it. This last time, we're 69 episodes in. Over a year we put onto this, and just quite recently with the update for the 25th anniversary of Bethesda and all of the new items there, we're still discovering things, as you will find out in this episode. If you caught it on the thumbnail, you're going to see it. We got a surprise at the end to show you. But let's take a little trip down memory lane, shall we? So I grew up in the 80s. In the 80s, we didn't have the games like Fallout Shelter or Fallout, for that matter, or anything like this. We did not have all the cool stuff these cool kids had. In fact, a lot of my friends and I didn't have this, the coolest stuff then either, which would probably be between 1984 and 1988 would have been Nintendo or a Commodore 64 at that time. Yeah. I had an Atari, and it wasn't even a real Atari. It was the Sears branded Telegames thing that came with Land, Air, Sea Battle. It didn't even come with Combat. It came with Air, Sea Battle. And didn't even have a computer at that time. Didn't get a computer until many years later. 1985, 86-ish, I got an Apple IIc, which an Apple IIc looked like a newer typewriter, electronic typewriter that you could actually just plug into a TV. You didn't have to have a monitor. And you put a disc in and you turned it on, and then you could type run, and you would get games on a disc. You didn't have a mouse, or you didn't have a window like Windows, like you scroll across the screen and click on something. You had to actually type in commands. And even then, that still wasn't the coolest thing ever. The coolest thing ever at that point was, of course, the Commodore 64. And the Commodore 64 was the big blue screen thing. They had to type in load, quote, game, quote, comma 8, comma 1, run, whatever, comma 8, comma 1. And you could play all kinds of games. And it had better graphics, I think, at that point than like the accepted TRS-80s at that time that I had in school. The biggest thing we had for the TRS-80s was pretty much text adventure games. But so there was always that one kid in your school or in your group of friends that had the coolest of games, the Commodore 64. He wasn't even that cool of a kid. It's just that he had the coolest toys. And you'd be out playing on the playground or out playing your games with everybody, and he'd be like talking about it. He'd like, oh yeah, my mom got me this game, blah blah. I'm like, what? What? Wait, you have this game? Oh my! Well, we have to go see it. So then we would drop all the toys that we had, like the sporting equipment, like the baseballs and the pads and all that stuff, and we'd run over to his house because his parents worked or whatever. And this kid who we deemed as being the coolest kid around, who we all flocked to, because he had a Commodore 64 and a bunch of games in his bedroom. So there we were, all huddled around watching him play, Impossible Mission, or the G.I. Joe game, or Balderdash, or Beachhead, Right Over Moscow. All these other kind of games that were like, cool back then. He wasn't, he wasn't expecting this kind of people in his room, in his house. He was like, we're going to play baseball, dude. What happened? And here we are saying, no, dude, you're the cool kid. You've got the games. Show us your games. Come on, dance monkey, be our puppet. So we kind of abused him in that sense. We used him for what he had, not because of who he was. And that kind of like made it sad, because it's like that would be that one guy that would be like, well, let's go out, and he doesn't get a lot of time socially interacting with other people. And then the moment he gets that, the moment he can be interacting with them on the playground and doing all that stuff, we want to go back to his house and watch, because his parents, weren't home, and we'd be sitting around around the computer with our Faygo Red and Doritos and spilling it all over his grandmother's homemade or handmade, I should say, Afghan, and causing a problem and being a general ruckus. And then we'd scatter like roaches when the lights came on because his parents showed up from work one day. And then, we wouldn't talk to him about anything else. We wanted to do that. So it's like we were kind of like assholes in that sense, that we would, abuse him in that manner. It was really kind of sad. But he had that thing that we didn't have. I remember, quite frankly, I didn't mind so much with that because I liked video games. I didn't mind kids coming over and playing video games. Now, granted, a lot of times with a lot of the games I played, they were always one player. I didn't have a close enough in age sibling to have two-player games on things. Like if we played a game on the Atari, I always got my ass kicked because my brother was 7 years older than me at that time, and I was, under the age of 10. But going into my teen or early, late childhood years to early teen years, he was in high school or in college, so I didn't have anybody else. So I would probably get mostly games that were a single player. So I didn't have, so I was going to be that kid where people would gather around and watch. But I didn't really mind so much. My parents might have minded at that time. I don't know. But that was our childhood. That abusing that one kid who had all the cool toys. And the funny thing is that kind of behavior, that kind of I don't know what you want to call scopus. What do they call it? Fetishistic scopophilia. The idea of watching other people, watching life, that getting off on watching other things. Like if you've ever watched the movie Rear Window with Jimmy Stewart, where he's laid up in a wheelchair in an apartment, and he looks out at his window at the apartment complex across the street, or the neighbors across the street, and he watches a murder happen, and it becomes something he obsesses upon. That's fetishistic scopophilia, a term I learned in college. But that idea that we would just get something out of watching somebody else do something, watching them do life, is a weird concept, but yet we did it back then. In fact, we did it in the arcade too. I would go into an arcade and I would lose $5 worth of quarters within 5 minutes, and I'd be like, okay, I've got another hour before my mom's coming to pick me up. What are we going to do? We just watch other people play. We didn't even have quarters to put up on the bezel or the beznet or whatever it was to play the next round. We just sat there and watched them. We would just sit there and watch somebody get the high score in Galaga or Double Dragon or something like that. That was weird. And as much as I feel that was normalized back then, at the same time, I have this weird thing that I think it's kind of stupid today. And yet I'm part of it. I'm a part of that idea, because think about what a gamer who's a YouTuber is. You're playing video games, and you're asking other people, and you're inviting them into your area, your gaming arena, to watch you do something. And that's a bit weird in a sense. That's kind of odd, don't you think? Now, back in the early days of YouTube, when it was just funny fails and cat videos, we didn't have video gaming. But video gaming didn't come out until about 2006, 2007, something around that time, and it didn't get huge until Minecraft. Minecraft was the biggest thing, and then you had all the other games come online. In fact, I remember there was an early days of that golden era of YouTube and the gaming community where you almost had to get permission from a developer in order to record, because there was this weird gray area of no man's land of copyright and IP infringement where if Nintendo didn't let you do it, I know that, but to film or to record gameplay and put it up onto a social platform, that was kind of ooh, that's kind of weird, how can you do that? And then we sort of just got away from all that. And now we do it all the time. Now we just, everything. And there's different slices of that community on YouTube. There's the gaming community where, hey, you watch me play, we talk, we do this kind of thing. We have this I call it sort of a podcast kind of idea, the Angry Cast, where we talk about things as well as we do gaming. But there's also the how-tos and tutorials and gamer tips and pro tips and all that stuff, and achievement hunting and all that kind of idea where you're showing people how to do stuff. I've done it too. I've tried to diversify the gaming side of this to do several different things to sort of see what works. Right now I've got it, not like I like to talk about other video games while I'm playing one other one, but I do it all the time. I disclaimer it that I don't want to do it, but I do it all the time. But here, I just finished up doing a series for another video game where it's an entire how to become insanely rich in the game without having to do any of the game. Without having to play the game, that kind of idea. So we do that all the time, and a lot of my initial what I'm trying to pinpoint in on for gaming on YouTube is just my experience. I try to be funny about it, and I know I'm horribly not funny at it, but just the idea of being reactionary to things like, oh my gosh, I'm experiencing things, which is kind of like where I like to observe and I like to watch, and I'm like watching the game and you're watching me watch the game in a sense, kind of like with Fallout or Skyrim or all those types of things. So there's all types of ideas behind how we do that, but then there's also this weird other sense of gaming where it's like I just experienced this. It's like we had the what, I don't even know the hell the name, where the two brothers or whatever, it was reacts, it was reaction videos, and it would be people reacting to other videos, and I thought that was kind of dumb. And then I thought it was also horribly dumb where you see people react to other people playing video games. So it's like now not only are we marketing videos on YouTube as, hey, I'm playing a video game, but now we're also marketing videos of somebody reacting to somebody playing a video game on YouTube. So you're actually watching them. And I actually sat there with a cup of coffee and watched someone who claimed to be an expert in a particular time of game watching another channel who I adore because the sarcasm and his entire way of approach. Let's game it out, Josh, a developer's worst nightmare. Watching him play and break, basically play, test, and break a game, and that's his whole shtick. It's like, how bad is your game programmed? How bad can I break it? Because if you give me an exploit, I will exploit it to its fullest potential. And then you have somebody who sits there and spends an inordinate amount of time playing the game legitimately, watching this and going, well, pause here, let me talk about this, keep playing. So you got about a 30-minute video with about 10 minutes of actual original content where every time he pauses, he talks for about 30 seconds and then he continues. And it wasn't even, and this one was, I'm critical of it, not because I think I'm better than anybody, but I'm critical of it from a standpoint of the guy didn't even really deliver original content in a sense, because when he was watching the video, he actually didn't even edit it to the point where he let the commercials play. I mean, seriously, the ads in the game, the ads in the video that he was watching played through his video watching that video. That makes any sense to you? He literally sat there and just played the video off of YouTube, and the ads came up, and then he would fast forward through it. He didn't cut it out. He didn't edit it. He didn't do any other extra work on that content in order to produce or deliver original content. Now, he might have an entire video gaming channel devoted to playing that game, and he might show that, but this is like, it seems a little bit opportunistic in a sense, because he was obviously going after a very high level channel that does this kind of thing and does it very well and very successfully, and he just pretty much absorbed their content and he put it on his channel as his own, a derivative thereof or fair use of, by just commenting every few minutes about the video and not even taking any of the commercials out of it that was already on the original video. I mean, this is kind of like insane. And I'm like, wait a second. We've come full circle. Not only are we paying to watch, because we have ads in them, we're paying to watch somebody play a video game. Now we're paying to watch someone else play a video game while you comment on it. And then not only do we see their ads, we're probably going to see your ads. So it's hilarious that, that one kid back in the day who was like, you all sat in my room and watched me play video games, and now I can make you watch them and I can get paid for it. Isn't it? It's kind of weird. It's kind of funny how that all works. But yeah, I thought that was just an interesting observation, and it spawned an entire story about my childhood. So sorry for that. It's sort of like roped you into that. Yeah, we are almost through this entire thing. This is like a single stage area where you go into the Red Rocket, and if we've done the party at the end of the world, the New Year's Eve, New Year's Day quests before. There are sprinkled in some items from the new update in them. I will tell you that, because I did get a recipe for the one of the newer weapons, the legendary weapon. I didn't unlock it yet. It's still in the crafting room, not unlocked. So that's, hey, there you go. And I don't know whether or not I got a pet carrier from any of these quests. I can't think about it at the moment. But I do know that the I do know that the thing. Oh, there it is, right there. The enhanced plasma caster. I got that recipe. So yeah, that came from old quests with new content. So yeah, we're still doing that. We're still getting that. That's great when that happens. But it's not exactly like we're getting a ton of it. And like I said, I don't remember if I got the pet carrier from this particular quest line or if I got it through some other means offline where I did anything else. So it's kind of like, hey, let's watch and keep going because I do want to show this to you because it is a new item. It's not an old item, and I can't wait to use it. So I think we got 2 more quests in this one. Yeah, and it's just funny. This is the quest where the overseer's son and you were out drinking. He gets kidnapped and forced into marriage. Basically it's the Hangover. It's basically the plot of the Hangover in Fallout Shelter. So there you go. Yeah. So on top of that, we've also just to let you know, we have crafted, and we're in the process of crafting the last item. We have crafted all of the themes. We've got from this entire Christmas and New Year's quest, we got at least 2 more dwellers. You will get Jack at the end of this quest line, and we did get the Santa Claus guy from one of the other quests as well. So there's that. So we got 2 more. We're getting closer to that 200, but I still have so many people stuck in the first room that I have to wait till they get done. So of course I'm lowering my when you keep people standing outside, it does lower your overall happiness percentage. So now I think I'm down to like 83 because each one of them count as 50%. So if you do the math on that, and if you have a high percentage of happiness within the vault, and then you have 10 people standing outside, you get a factor in the average of 10 of those 50%. So it's not good. It doesn't do good for your odds. So it may not be I don't care personally, but it does affect the bonuses that you get, and it does affect the when you clear resources. It does, and especially if you're doing them automatically, it does affect those bonuses. Which is, if you're like me and you have 999,000 caps, you don't care because you're not about the caps anymore. You're just we're just doing quests at this point. So that I will say that. But back to this other idea about the end of the New Year's Eve and all this idea. I hope everybody out there had a wonderful and safe New Year's. I will say a couple of things as far as current events. The last video we talked about my friend who had a massive heart attack and was in the hospital. If anybody out there happened to in their own time or please thank you, whatever, have some sort of a thought or prayer for him, however you choose to do that. I thank you. I'm sure they thank you as well. I will say that he was put into the rehab facility this week, and he's being discharged. So he's got full. He's gonna has a full recovery ahead of him, which is great for someone. Hey, we're 48, we're 47 and 48 years old at this point. This is not something typical for us. We get to that point in life where things are starting to be taken from us more than they're given to us. So I will say it's great to hear. On the flip side of that, and I haven't followed football for quite some time. I kind of gave up watching because I was a diehard Steelers fan. I was a diehard Steeler fan. I would live and breathe and bleed black and gold, and I've been that way all my life. After like Troy Polamalu retired, and after the sort of the decline of the Ben Roethlisberger years, and basically just in general the way people were being treated and it was obviously there was accountability based on profitability. And I said, you know what, I'm kind of done with this. And besides, not only that, but I would let an entire Sunday dictate my mood, where I would lose 3 to 4 hours watching a game instead of enjoying my weekend with the rest of my family. And if they did great, I was fine. If they lost, then I was like, throwing stuff around. And then I could see that's like hereditary. I could see my dad was the same way because he was a big diehard Steeler fan all his life. So giving that up and not giving a crap about what's happening in the NFL has been sort of a blessing for me in terms of reclaiming time into my life and my well-being and everything. And I think that's probably not a bad thing if it's something. And if you do care and good for you. If you do follow and you enjoy and you do all that, then that's your thing and you choose to do it. I'm doing what I choose to do. But I happen to be watching nothing related to football. We were watching because we lost Barbara Walters, being an actor, being in that sort of entertainment vein of things that I care about in my life. Losing Barbara Walters was kind of a big thing because the 10 most fascinating people, the Oscar specials, all that, and her being a journalist, and I grew up with her. It's like her and Sam Donaldson and Tom Brokaw and Dan Rather and the late Peter Jennings, who I loved. Losing one of that pantheon of broadcast journalists, that's kind of a big thing for me. So I happened to be watching that special on Hulu the other night, and then my friends were talking about, I see on Twitter, I just happened to open up Twitter and look at it during a commercial, and there was all this talk about the game and what's going on, and I'm like, well, what the hell's going on? And I happened to turn on ABC Monday Night Football, or Tuesday, I don't know, it was just whatever it was, but it was it was Tuesday night. It was the Bills and the Bengals, and I couldn't believe it. This whole issue where they were still considering playing the game after the Damar Hamlin injury. And if you don't know what happened, so Damar Hamlin, he's a second-year guy out of Pitt who's been playing for the Bills, number 3. Went to McKees Rock, so he's local hometown hero for us. If you are, I went to Pitt, so I have that sort of connection in that way. That's the only relatable moment I can say. Oh, I went to Pitt. He went to Pitt. He tackled somebody, and he tackled him, but he's more like he got tackled, the way it looked on tape, and he stood up and then immediately collapsed. He basically had a cardiac event, and I kind of figured that's what it was, but I wasn't sure if it was something congenital that just reared its ugly head, which you wouldn't think would happen, but it can. But also, I was, afraid he broke his neck, all these types of things. But he was down on the ground, and they had to do CPR on the field, and they were going to play 5 minutes later, and the players and the coaches said, yeah, no, we're not. And this is the kind of thing that sort of got me away from football, was this, hey, the game is important, and it's profit, and it's money, and we need to produce this. We have a responsibility to our shareholders, a responsibility to the marketing people and people who sell the stuff, and responsibility to fantasy football and DraftKings and all those things, and Vegas and all that. And they're like, no, you don't. You have a responsibility to the people who you employ to play this game, and I don't think that they're taking care of them the way they should, in terms of what's marketable, what's money getting for them. And the coaches and the teams deciding that they weren't going to go into that and say, you know what, no, we're done playing for tonight, one of our own are out there fighting for their life. And he was, he had to be revived on the field, and he had to be intubated and had to be put into I guess what you would consider the cooling. It's the same as my friend who had a cardiac event, who had a massive heart attack, in order to cool the brain and save brain function. When he was in the ICU in Cincinnati, that's a scary thing, and far too often do we politicize what these players go through and what they're doing, and they're just as important as anybody else. If you feel that you are in a position and you're being abused or at your work, as a worker, as an employee, if you feel that you're not being given the right sort of treatment, but you watch the NFL or any other league and you say, well, those players are just overprivileged elitist bums that should be okay with, yeah, they're being paid, they're being compensated way more than you are, but think about the career that they're going to have. And think about after their career. They are going to be playing for a very brief amount of time. Ben Roethlisberger just retired. He played from 2004 until 2021. He played almost 16, 17 years. Yeah, he played a hell of a long time. Now, granted, he's a quarterback, so it's a little bit different story. But what is it to them after that? Like, what can they do after that? They don't have a career after that unless they go into broadcast, to journalism, or to back into coaching or teaching or anything like that. They make their money and they're done. So that's their thing. So I think we should give them a little bit more benefit of the doubt when it comes to their well-being. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So hey, we are back. We are back into the vault. We've gathered up all these duplicate fragments, which of course it doesn't matter anymore because we've crafted them all. In fact, we've got the one going right now. I think we got about 2 days left, possibly. Let's see here. Yeah, no, 4 days. I'm sorry, but we can upgrade this and get it done because 120,000 caps. What do I care? we'll just do that and then we'll be done. So that'll be the last one that we're gonna craft, and then we'll probably go back to the party ones because I kind of like the party ones. And of course, when the holidays happen, we'll let them go through. But let's go ahead and open up the stuff after we send our group back out to get them on the road. I don't think we have any other holiday quests, so we'll just do the game show gauntlet because, of course, it is a lunchbox, and that is where we get all of the fun stuff out of this. I did not heal them up. Ooh, crap. Oh well, they'll be fine. I didn't heal them up after the last quest. I don't know why I didn't. Oh well, let's go open up our stuff and see what we got. Okay, we've got, like I said, two of these. I think he looks familiar. I think we have him. It's a 2.5 stranger chance. Toiger. But this is the big one I wanted to show you. Guess what? Look at this thing. I have never... Okay, we had pets, we had cats, we had dogs, we had parrots. Now I've got an alien drone, and that's from Fallout 76, that alien drone, and it's a +4 damage, and I cannot wait to use him and see how he works out. But let's keep going. Opening up the rest of our... We got Agent Provocateur. We don't care. We'll sell that, probably. We got a quest for that. Gold Watch. Caps. Objective, not quest. Water and Republic Robes, we'll sell that because that's also for the objective of selling so much stuff. Let's see what else we got. We'll get rid of that. BB gun. Oh, look, we got some Nuka-Cola Quantums ×3. And what else we got? We got a trifold flag, and we got caps, and we got Jennifer Harvey, another dweller. Oh boy. And then what's our last lunchbox going to show us? Wonder Glue. And another BB gun, we'll sell that. Stim pack and caps. And caps. Okay, awesome. Awesome possum. Which I should have not done that because, oh well, it's fine. It doesn't matter. We play and we lose caps left and right. But we're going to switch this puppy out, this kitty out for the alien drone, and we'll see what happens the next time we do that. We'll see how well that works the next time we have another attack on the vault. So, all right. Well, hey, that's it for tonight. I want to thank you again for enjoying and liking the videos and subscribing to the channel and doing all that. We will see you next time. Have a good one. Take care of each other. Take care of the planet. Take care of yourselves. Have a good 2023, and we will see you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.